Welcome to the Pathways to Success. I'm Julian Placino, recruiting professional turned success speaker, show host, and media entrepreneur. This show is dedicated to helping you find your unique pathway to success by having conversations that educate, inspire, and transform. Together, we'll interview some of the world's greatest leaders and uncover their secrets to success. Thanks for tuning in, and on to the show. Welcome to episode 192 of the Pathways to Success, where we help you find your unique pathway to success by having conversations that educate, inspire, and transform with the world's greatest leaders. I'm Julian Placino, your host, and we have yet another amazing show for you today. And today's episode is brought to you in part by Code Up. Code Up is the premier career accelerator in Texas. Code Up's web development and data science programs will take you from beginner to job-ready professional in 22 weeks from the comfort of your own home. Code Up's data science program has an 88% employment rate, and their web development program has an astonishing 99% employment rate. Code Up is so confident in their programs that if you don't find a career in field within 6 months of graduating, you'll receive a 100% tuition refund. So if you are ready to start a career in web development or data science, I highly recommend you check out Code Up at codeup.com. That's CODEUP.com. So before we get kicked off, I got to give a huge shout out to everyone here tuned into the live stream. If you haven't yet, please do tell us your name and where you're coming from. This topic that we're having today seems to have generated a lot of interest. So I'm very excited about our featured guest. It is someone who I've drawn close to here over the past couple of years, has become very much of a mentor to me, and has personally transformed my own speaking career. It is none other than Wilene Dunn, CEO at WCD Enterprises. Wilene, welcome to the Pathways to Success.
Thank
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
It's so good I feel like our relationship has gone so full circle, so it's awesome to have you here, Wilene.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. Well, Wilene, you represent speakers, you grow speakers, you teach them the business, and you ultimately help them share their message. 2020 was a crazy year for the industry overall. Tell us, how was it from your perspective?
You know, I think we use our words to create our life. So we just stayed in the game. You and I stayed in the game. We did the things we needed to do to stay visible in the marketplace. And I would encourage that in any condition, right? In a pandemic or a thriving marketplace. Be visible. Be a part of what's going on in your audience space. Who are you talking to? Who are you sharing with? Who are you encouraging? I love your posts because you're always encouraging people to follow their dreams and personal brand. And so the market, you know, whether good, bad, or indifferent, it's always great if it's great in here.
I'm curious, what were some specific lessons that you learned having faced everything we did as an industry? Like, what were some of the benefits or good things that may have come from this?
So I had an opportunity to redo some of my own marketing and being visible in my space, as well as work with you and other speakers to hone the messages. And what are we doing virtually? And how can we bring the messages more actively to our audiences, no matter what the condition, right? Whether a thriving economy or a struggling economy, a pandemic, it doesn't matter. It's all about the heart and the message that we're here to deliver, and always being real, always being with people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what did you learn from taking speeches from stages and virtualizing them? What were some of the things that we could take away from that?
So just engaging, you know, that level of engagement, people who wanted to know about the audience, whether you're right with them in the space where you can talk to them and get that sense. You couldn't do that virtually. So it was, how do I do that when I'm not with someone? Mm-hmm. And I mean, even for me, I thought of you driving over here, right? And just saw your face and got like, Wilene, you know? And so that's what we did virtually. We brought in that idea and that energy even in a screen format, right? Where these are people you're talking to and engaging with. So how do we do that? And we did it really well virtually. You did it very well virtually also. Lots of video, lots of content to engage people.
I think one of the things that you helped me realize is that as a speaker, we're problem solvers, and my ability as a speaker to solve problems did not change, but simply the mechanism through which I deliver that value did change. So we started thinking differently and approaching companies, look, this is what I can do, but just now through a virtual platform, and that worked out really well for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Wilene, the show is called The Pathways to Success, and I love to hear the success stories of how someone comes to be who they are today. How did you get into the business of representing speakers?
This is my favorite story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what happened for me was I was in my car one day, 22-year career in litigation support, working with attorneys, and I just said out loud in my car to nobody, right, that which is greater than me, I said, I want a job I can do from anywhere, and I don't want to sit in traffic unless I choose to sit in traffic. And so I got another job that gave me exactly how I wanted to do this business. I was not in entertainment. I didn't know what this business was. But that industry I was in for 2 years. It was the staffing industry, and it laid out basically whether I wanted to be a bureau or an agent. And I decided I wanted to be an agent because I wanted to be for the speaker and for the event. Because when you have that relationship with both, you get a win-win. You get a fit for the organization that you're speaking to and for the speaker who's speaking to them. And so that's how it happened. I just said I wanted a job I could do from anywhere, and 2 years later, I opened WCD Enterprises with my first speaker, Dana Steele.
So how did that come to be? What was the rubber meets the road? When did you, what was the first booking? What was that experience like?
So I got a book from that staffing manager called Rock to the Top, What I Learned About Success from the World's Greatest Rock Stars. I often tell her I wish her title was shorter to introduce that, but it was by Dana Steele. And I called her up and I said, I want to work with you. And I gave my 2 weeks notice. I left that staffing agency, and Dana and I started doing this business together. We sat down, she said, I just wrote this book, let's do this. I opened WCD Enterprises, and we started working together. So how was it? It was amazing. You know, just someone delivering a message and a new perspective, and I love that idea, is bringing a new perspective to maybe even old ideas that just need a new perspective. And that's what you do also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Wilene, I'm curious, in your journey, your entrepreneurial journey, having gone from where you have been to what you're doing today, now helping so many different speakers, what would you say were your keys to success? What is it about Wilene's life that we could take, apply in our own careers, and achieve that similar benefit of success?
One of the things that I recognize is that when I said what it was that I wanted, when I got very clear, and it was just clear on that I didn't want a job, I wanted a job I could do from anywhere and not sit in traffic. When I was clear about that, it started unfolding for me. I got a new job, you know, that led me into, that just led me into this direction. Then I got a book from that manager that was the introduction to, and it just kept unfolding. And so speak the word, speak what you want. Say it often, talk to people about what it is you want, not what you don't want. I don't want to be in this job anymore. No, I want a job that ... right? Talk about what you want. And I think that that's the biggest message for me, is use your words to create your life.
Before we take a commercial break, I have to ask you this, Wilene. You have an incredible ability, and I tell Rosie this all the time. Every time I talk to Wilene, I feel more confident. My mind expands. I feel like I'm able to do things more than what I'm doing right now. But one of the biggest issues that I've seen with speakers is they don't necessarily believe in their message or themselves. What is your message to anyone who's looking to build a speaking career to empower them?
Yeah, believe in yourself. Right? Believe in your message, go forward and stand out, and then speak it often to people. I'm a $1 million speaker. I'm a multi-million-dollar speakers say it, so that you can start living into that, because it's incredible how when we use our words, things start lining up for us. I know you've noticed that, right? As we talk and we get encouraged and we hear, I can do this, you can do this, you're like, yeah, I can, right? And then just things start falling into place. It's almost magical.
And the results speak for themselves. I've said it many times on social media. Working with you literally quintupled my speaking fees. So thank you so much for all the support that you've shown me in my career. So, Wilene, we're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from our incredible sponsors.
You want to transition out of your career and do something tech related. CodeUp is the place for you. When I came to CodeUp, I was actually working at a chain hair salon. It was just starting not to be for me anymore. My goals were to never work a weekend ever again, to have full health care and benefits, and to just have more time with my son. And now I've met all of those goals. I don't have any regrets. I just regret not coming sooner when I saw those billboards and I was driving down the highway.
And we're back with Wilene Dunn, CEO of WCD Speakers, and her keys to success. So Wilene, as a big appreciation gift for you, I have to give you something from our friends at Dead Soxy. And
now I could go on, and I won't, Jason.
You're a real
I'm
fan.
a fan.
Yes.
Yeah, the minute I got my first pair, I had to have more and more and more. So I think I have 17 pair now. So if you don't have your Dead Soxies, at least get one, because there is an offer.
It is use the promo code PATHWAYS, that's plural, and you get 30% off. So thank you, Jason, for supporting the show.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. Well, Wilene, I want to jump into it. And again, this whole conversation that we're having, everyone tuning in, they want to learn how to get their first paid speech.
Good.
So tell us, what is the current state of the speaking industry? Where are we at, and where do you see it going over the next few months?
So I know I keep going back to this, but it's not the state of the speaking industry, it's the state of your mind, you know, no matter where you are. A story's coming up for me that, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he was in prison for a long time, and he shot 62 in a golf game, just in his mind. And he got out and he hadn't played golf, but the minute he hit the court, I mean, the minute he hit the, what do you call golfing, in golfing terms, the course, he shot a 62. And so I think with speaking or anything else, it's about how you hold it. If you believe that you're a confident speaker and that you're going to go out there and make a difference with people, touch people, change perspective, then you can do it. Yeah.
And as far as what you're seeing in terms of your clients right now, I know you and I were working on one particular engagement in July in Florida. So are you seeing it more that the market is bringing back events? Like, what are you seeing on that front?
Absolutely. So, you know, it's a billion-dollar industry, from travel to courses and people staying in hotels for business. And so this industry is coming back. For sure. And speaking, live events are coming back because people are now, with the Zoom fatigue, they're ready to reconnect. And I think it's going to be bigger than it ever was. Now is the time. If you want to speak, and I have to tell you, in 2013, kind of, we experienced another little lull in the speaking business. And I asked the question, do I want to stay in? And I just heard, now's the time. Like now is the time to get in this business and be a voice for change. And so what I'm seeing is that's happening. People want to hear these messages, and they want to hear more interpersonal messages now too, about change and meditation and some of the business intelligent, empowerment, those kind of speaking to people and through people and for people to encourage them. I think, just what we feel, it's the same that audience feels when they're motivated to go out and do what they love to do. But the industry is definitely turning around. We're already booking some live events, and we'll continue to do that. Yeah.
I agree. The previous show that I had with Matt Senka, his associate, Chris, he actually puts on trade shows for renewable energy. And he said he's having his first trade show coming up in Austin here. Yeah. And I think these big conference centers are having their own protocol, something like 500 people at a time. But nevertheless, that's an audience in person. And I think especially with the vaccines rolling out, I think it's toning down the fear a little bit more. But I really do feel there is pent-up demand for the in-person events and connecting with people once again. So I absolutely see that, and it's evidenced by the conversations that we're having.
Well, and I love what you just said. It's taking down the fear level, and that again is a mindset, right? If we're just moving forward and know that we're moving forward, we keep making those calls, keep being present to people, keep putting out great content on LinkedIn is a great way. And you have a little video course, that talks about that. And so maybe you can include that as a link at the bottom, because I think people need to know about that as well. How to just be present right now until we get an opportunity to get back to live. But July forward, I think we're moving.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So you're working with a speaker, and again, one of the biggest benefits I've gotten from you is you educated me as a speaker, and you really helped me believe in my message and the things that I'm doing. So you're working with someone who's never had a paid speech. What's the first thing they need to start to do to get that first paid speech?
So one of the things is start recording yourself. Every opportunity you get, start being in front of a camera. Even if it's just on a little tripod, see yourself speak, see yourself delivering a message. Get a good title and a keynote that you're passionate about. Write a topic that you're really passionate about and start recording yourself doing that. Talk about it. Give that content back to you. See how your presentation is. Because I think the thing that gets you booked the most is your energy and your excitement. Your message is there, people are going to hear it, but it's about that excitement that I'm here to change lives. I'm here to make a difference, or whatever it is for you, right? Get your message, know what that is, record yourself doing it, get excited about you, and other people will be too.
So record yourself.
Yes.
Discover what your message is. What is it that you're truly passionate about? Let me ask you this, Wilene. This might sound a little controversial, but I want to hear the good, the bad, the indifferent, but the truth. Do you think anyone can become a paid speaker?
I do, with training and passion. Again, it's about the energy that you deliver. The people who are making the $100,000 speeches are those guys that are out there motivating people, the ones who are really bringing the message to an audience. So if you're timid, then just get some work on that, right? I don't think there's anything that can't move you. I think the people who are a little less enthusiastic or have a presentation that's a little, subdued, that their audience is going to feel that. So just recognize that about yourself. How do you come across? That's why I ask you to video yourself. Because if you see yourself, if you can't motivate you, then you're not going to motivate anybody else, right?
Yeah.
If you're standing in the mirror and you can't motivate you, then you can't do this, right? But that's how you'll know. And yes, I think that anybody can do that. With the level of confidence and passion, if you can stand in a mirror and motivate yourself, then you can motivate anybody.
Yeah. I think definitely the energy, the passion, for sure, I think that makes a great speaker. We all love amazing speakers and orators, right?
Yeah.
But a thing that I learned for sure 100% is that speakers are problem solvers. Why do I get booked? I'm a personal branding speaker, right? As a result of this podcast, this passion project that I started in 2016, I just never quit doing it. A personal brand emerged, right? And as a result of a personal brand, it increased my ability to access people, specifically decision makers. It boosted my trust, credibility, authority, and it also vastly expanded my network. I talk about a following not as a vanity metric, but a communication channel of people who know, like, and trust you. Well, the application of that was direct for business development and also sales. So I would get booked by these sales conferences and teaching them how to build a personal brand. So between the enthusiasm and the energy that you talk about, getting really connected with the message and knowing how do you solve a problem for a company, I think those are absolutely great keys.
Yes, absolutely.
What are you seeing, especially now, I think you touched on it, are the most, would you say, monetizable topics when it comes to speaking?
I think, the interpersonal. So everybody's coming out of this pandemic. They want to be encouraged. They want to find their joy, be back in their happiness. And so what are the topics that do that? Empowerment, personal branding, how you present yourself. That's a big message. Content in general. How do you deliver content? I think that's a good message for people too. Just because now we're going to get present again, networking, those messages. Your success stage, pathways to success. People want to hear about how you did it and then how they can do it. So yes, success messages, interpersonal messages, empowerment, change, joy.
There's a few other points that you and I talked about in a pre-conversation that I want to bring light to our audience. You said there's true power behind words, and that hits on the speaking industry sort of at a different level. Tell us more about your philosophies on that.
Yeah, so using your words, your word is your wand. When you say what it is you want, it's how I got in this business. I said I wanted to do something and it began to unfold, and I had no idea of the entertainment industry. It's definitely where I'm supposed to be, since my top 5 are woo, positivity, I'm not going to go through them all, but connector. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And you'll know that in your life. And speaking to audiences, you're delivering a message that makes a difference, that changes things for people. And so your words, then you're speaking over an audience. You're speaking over your family. What are you speaking? Are you speaking prosperity over your own life and people? Are you speaking empowerment? Are you speaking joy? So use your words to create not only your life, but then to speak onto and through and as, and to an audience.
One of the most common questions I get from other individuals who are looking to break into the speaking industry is, what do I speak about? Something that you also say is you have to follow your creative impulses.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So when you get an idea and you may wake up in the morning and think, I've been doing this personal branding thing for a long time, and that's my message. And so you start honing the personal branding message, or whatever that impulse is that says, I don't want to be in this business anymore, but what I do want to do, and so I want to, be in a business I can do from anywhere. So it's about following those ideas. You get a book idea. So you started doing journaling recently, and that's given you an idea for a book around this journaling project, right? So as you continue to unfold and do the things that you're told to do, because they're only yours to do, right? We don't have another Julian doing those notes. So when your book comes out, it's going to be yours, and it's yours to bring to the world, just like your message. It's yours to bring. So if you are out there wanting to be a speaker, it's your message. Get out and do it. Be that.
And I think there definitely is real, not just woo-woo value, but business value when it comes to doing something that you love.
Yes.
Because I, for whatever reason, really enjoyed this podcast medium. I love creating content. I didn't do it to make any kind of money, but over time it was I was putting this energy towards this particular craft where I got good at it and started to build an audience. And over time it made this portfolio, which people now consider a personal brand, a way for people to get to know who I was and what I cared about. And then I started having people reach out to me about, hey, how did you build your personal brand? And that kept happening over and over and over again. And that's how I became a personal branding speaker. So by following my creative impulses, the market saw what I was doing and showed me that's the kind of speaker that I was.
Right. And then it starts unfolding, right? Just one step after another. You meet the next person, you meet that person, and that person introduces you, and it just starts to unfold. But it all starts with your word, that this is what I want to do. Then you get an impulse, then you follow that impulse, and pretty soon you're standing on a stage in front of 5,000 people speaking and sharing a message that you're passionate about. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So if you were to turn that into an action step, though, because I know that was one of the biggest things, is what do I talk about? What do I talk about? What would you suggest? I know what I would suggest, but I'm curious, how would you begin to hone what that message is?
For each individual
For
speaker?
any speaker,
Or?
yeah, for anyone looking to get into the industry and get their first paid speech.
So what have you been doing? What do you have an expertise in, right? What's your passion in your business? Like the way you did it in personal branding, you just kind of outlined something, but from where you came from a staffing and a recruiting. And that showed you that the people coming in needed an image. And so what are you doing in your regular life? What are you doing in your world now that you know a lot about?
Right.
And start writing that down. Start recording yourself. What would I tell an audience? Be in front of that, and that's how you start developing that. And I really encourage that. Be on video and watch it yourself, and just start taking some clues from you of what lights you up when you start talking about it. You know, and some people, maybe you're in banking, and I don't want to talk about banking. Well, what got you to banking? What was the passion that got you there? And if you're not where you want to be, then what words can you use to move to your next step? Find your next passion.
And I think a key to what you said there was, who is your audience? Because speakers solve problems for particular human beings. And whether you know it or not, you can solve a problem. You just need to identify who that market is. You know, Wilene, I come from talent acquisition and recruiting. For the longest time, I thought my corporate career was the thing that was holding me back from achieving my entrepreneurial destiny. It turned out it was my competitive edge. It was these insights that I was gaining from recruiting and staffing for 12 years that showed me how to connect the personal brand to all the pain points, and that's what allowed me to sort of emerge. Jeff Weddock is here, my very good friend from the InSource Group. I started doing personal branding stuff for staffing, and that's what then allowed me to build these insights, and I saw it happen. It's not just in staffing, it's anyone who has an outward-facing capacity, whether it's sales or being an executive or recruiting or whatnot. And I think that's really important, is to define who is your audience that you're looking to serve. So let me ask you this. What do you think is the best way nowadays to begin to build an audience?
So content, putting out content, start talking about what you're passionate about, talking to the audiences that you think would benefit from your message. See that audience and start talking to them. You know, you talk directly to your audiences a lot. And now you've kind of expanded out where you can talk to anybody about, from exercise to, I mean, you just talk about the energy that you hold and how to create your life, right? And so do that. Like, start putting out content, start talking to people. Because as you start talking to people, you'll discover your audience, because it's the people who'll start commenting. It's the ones who will say, I love that message, tell me more. And then you start talking to them, and all of a sudden you're developing and you realize, wow, now I have a following already. I have an audience. This is who they are. And I'll start going out and pursuing those type of associations, organizations.
Social media has become an incredible feedback tool. Because there was a consistency of the kind of content that I was creating, a certain kind of person was beginning to follow me. Specifically in the beginning was recruiting and staffing. And what was interesting is when I would engage with them, they would tell me what their problems were. And those problems was my speech content. I literally created my first business by asking people on LinkedIn, what are your problems? Jeff, if you remember, my first product was called Insider Secrets to Winning Business and Staffing. That entire curriculum came from my interaction with my following on LinkedIn. So thank you, anyone who's ever supported me. But yes, I say that because it draws truth to exactly what you said. Yeah. Content is very, very powerful. This is the question that I'm sure everyone on the live stream right now is wanting to ask. I have an audience, I have a message. How do I even begin to think about pricing what my talk is going to be worth?
So what are you worth, right? What are you worth? I think, you know, sometimes there's industry standards, but I think you're worth whatever you think you're worth. I love a story that I heard recently that a guy, he was 2 weeks in the business and he was asking for $10,000 a speech. And somebody said, how can you do that? I mean, you're just starting. He goes, because I believe I can.
Yeah.
So I say, be in your value. This might cause controversy. I'm not a big fan of the go do free speeches to get known thing.
Yeah.
Do free content, maybe put out things on LinkedIn, let people know who you are, but you have an expertise to share that's only yours and you're the only one that can share it. Why would you devalue that by not charging for it? So I would start at $5,000. If it doesn't suit your audience, then go back and have a conversation, but there's some creative ways that I think people need to know about too. Ask for book sales. So, because we want to give the message to any and everyone, right? So I can't afford you, you're $10,000, what can I do? You can get a sponsor for me. You can find a sponsor. You can buy some books. You can put my link on your association site for people to purchase my book. And so there are other things that can be done where you are still not devaluing your expertise. You're keeping your value and you're offering value back. It's a win-win. You always go for the win-win.
And I love that about you. That is how you started to expand my mind, because it wasn't just a fee. Number one, you're really great at putting together sort of creative ways to sort of pay for that. I think also it's important to remember, yes, you might speak for 45 minutes, but it's not 45 minutes of your time. It's a lifetime of experiences of trial and error of figuring out what works and what actually doesn't. It's the value that you're offering to everyone in that room. And I think that's really important to talk about, right? In a very specific sense, I made this post this morning promoting this conversation here. My first talk was $50. I did it for Paul Quinn College, and it was actually, it wasn't even them who gave it to me. It was the marketing consultant who I happened to know, and he was like, all right, I'm going to throw this guy a bone and give him $50, right? But that was the first time I ever got paid to be a speaker. And I practiced like 20 hours for it, and I knocked it out of the park. And it made me feel for the first time that, wow, I really did exchange that value. I took those lessons and I started going out to people in my network, and I met a gentleman. His name is Mark Sinatra. He's the CEO of a company called Staff One. He's seen me speak before at one of these free talks, and he invited me to have a conversation with him, right? But through that conversation, he saw that my content could solve a problem for his sales team, and he invited me to keynote for his organization. And that was my first $2,000 speech. Nice. And then from there, my fees just went up and up and up and up. So as speakers, we are problem solvers. Do not devalue the knowledge that you have. It is worth something to somebody. You just have to find that audience and package it well. So in the beginning, I'm curious, we talked about content. Is there anything else we need to discuss in terms of how else should I market myself to my potential prospect who could book me to speak?
Well, I mean, right, we talked about content being on social media. LinkedIn is a great way to connect with professionals.
Yeah.
It's a professional organization connection. But also just talk to people, tell people what you're doing, and tell people what you want to do.
Yep.
I want to be $1 million speaker. I want to be on stages of 5,000 plus. So I want to be in front of people. And I had somebody say once, well, if I just touch one person, what does it matter? Because that person touches person, and so on and so on. Now you've got the ripple, like the stone in the pond, right? And you have changed the world by the one person that you're connecting with via LinkedIn or Facebook, and then they share the message and it grows from there. So know your value, stand in, talk to people about what you can offer them, a new perspective and your expertise, because nobody is like you. Nobody's going to deliver like you.
And I love this "like you" statement because I talk about personal branding, and the truth of the matter is, in order to be different, you just have to become more of who you are authentically. And because of that, for me, I don't really even see competition because it's my story. It's uniquely true. The results are verifiable. And I say that because I think a lot of times a common mistake people make is, how do I become like that speaker? I think that's a mistake. You should figure out how you need to uniquely express your message. So I'm curious, what other perhaps mistakes have you seen new speakers make when getting into the industry?
Yeah, I wanted to say, don't get stuck. right? Don't get stuck in an idea. So if you talk to a speaker who's speaking now and says, you should do this or you should do that, really pull a whole lot more people. Find people in the industry, talk to bureau people, talk to agents. Don't just take, even in the speaking industry, don't just take those words over your life. When somebody says, well, you have to speak for free, you know, nobody knows you, you have to, it's not true. It's not true. You know, you get to call that. And that can cause controversy too, because that is a message that people say, get out there and do this for free. Then you get stuck in free. So don't get stuck in free. Don't get stuck in 2,500. You know, you and I moved you significantly from a place, right? Don't get stuck. You know, poll people, talk to people about your message, tell them who you want to be, and just do that. Like, I'm this, you know, I'm a $15,000 speaker. And when somebody says, I don't have that, or you should just get out there for free, oh, I'm not doing free. This is my expertise. I've spent 50 years learning what I know. That's worth $15,000. So don't get stuck. That's my message. Don't get stuck, and don't just listen to somebody say, you can't do that. Well, of course I can. I can do whatever I put my mind to.
Wilene, we're almost out of time here. If you had one more opportunity to craft a message to our audience who wants to get their first paid speech, may not really know exactly how to do it or what their message is, but what kind of inspiration can you offer them?
Start talking to people that are in this business. That I would, the same thing, I would talk to agents. You can call me, you can talk to me. Have an engaging strategy conversation about where you want to go and what you're currently doing, and outline a plan just like you would in any business. Speaking is a business. And I wanted to say this, set it up as a business. Even if you have a job and you're moving into speaking, go get a DBA, make it an LLC, whatever, but make it a business. File your business, get a bank account specifically for that business, because you are now in the speaking business. Set it up as a business. Get excited about it. This is, even, like I said, even if you have a job and you want to be a speaker, start setting up your speaking business. File a DBA, get an LLC, set it up so that you can start paying taxes on that business. You can start making money in that business. You can start putting that money in your bank account and paying yourself from your speaking. I think that's critical.
And treating it like a business is the first step. And 100%, I have learned that the hard way, actually. So, Wilene, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for being my friend and my mentor. If you would, please tell our audience how to connect with you, how to work with you, how to support you on social. Tell us all that.
So I'm on LinkedIn under Wilene Dunn. You can find me at WCDSpeakers.com. I also have a t-shirt brand, phoneticsworld.com, that I love to promote. So I do a lot of e-commerce stuff, following creative impulses. I have books, and I have my website, WileneDunn.com. So you can Google me. I'm findable. And that's another lesson for speakers. Be findable.
Right.
That's not even a word. We've created
we
it today.
created, right?
I knew I'd say something brilliant. There it is.
We're living the message. Awesome. And we'll make sure to have all of your contact information in the show notes as well. So, Wilene, thank you once again for being on the show.
Thank you.
And everyone else, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Pathways to Success. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, share this out with people who you think might benefit, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Pathways to Success.